Continuing with Mareh Yaakov, we're studying Parshat Noach. We're Breshit Tet, the 9th chapter of Genesis, the 3rd verse. We're in the section on Noach, page 72. Kol remes with a pashta, with two pashtaot. So each creeper, number one, each creeper of a larger or smaller size will be turned over to you for your needs, as indicated by the directional shape of the reading line. So these things are going to stand on their own, but they're going to lead to something else. We'll remember that pashta has a place on the word and at the end of the word, and if a different syllable is accented, then many, but not all of the print versions will have two pashtaot. We'll have two of the note, one on the symbol that's accented and one on the last syllable. So that's why we get a double note here. The author doesn't actually make comments on the fact that it's a double note, but I think we have to think about this for a little while. He does say of a larger or smaller size. So I think by saying those two words, he's already thought about the fact that there are two pashtaot here. I just didn't happen to mention it explicitly, but I think that's why he added the words of a larger or smaller size. So everything that creeps on the ground will be turned over to you for your needs. So again, we were saying the last couple of psukim are God assuaging Noah's fears after coming out of the ark, and the rules changing back to the rules of nature again. That Noah is afraid that he is going to be eaten by the animals and maybe not have the things to provide him with his needs. So we're seeing that he is also going to get his needs met by even the smallest things that have come out of the ark. Anything that's creeping on the ground will again be there to serve what needs Noah has for them. Asher, that, number two, with a munach or a zakeh katon. The munach tells us that it's separated out from what's come before, but is going to lead forward from that point. Everything that might be beneficial for you, even to provide clothing or other necessities, may be utilized for your convenience, as shown by the shape of the reading mark. So, from here on in, you can use all of these things, even if before you didn't have access to them either because the animals were protecting them, or because you felt that you didn't have a right to them. From this point on, because you have protected the animals, you have a right to everything that they do and everything that they are, even to them in and of themselves. So from here on in, again, we're saying the rules have changed. You now have ownership because of your act of protecting. Hu Chai, it lives, with a katon, so this is a two-part note, so we're going to look for a double meaning in this phrase. Since its existence was secured through your care in the ark, it lives only because of you, and not to serve your requirements, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the related reading mark. So, you allowed it to live, therefore it's yours. And that's what the fact that it's living not only says that it's living, but it's living because of you. So that's why we have two meanings to this word. It's alive, and you're the one who kept it alive. Therefore, you're entitled to proceeds from it. Lachem, with a mercha, for you all. We're not being southern here, but lachem. So this is going to be lightly connected to what's gone before and move from there on in. Because those species were saved by you, they shall also supply for you all whatever you require from them to keep you comfortable, as stressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So you are going to, from this point on, use these resources. Yihiyeh, it shall be, with a tipcha. So this is going to close the phrase that the mercha opened for us and have a slight pause after it. The rule shall not only apply temporarily after leaving the ark, but it shall be an everlasting principle also for future generations, as denoted by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So not only is it going to be for you, but it's going to be from here on in from anybody who descends from you. So Lachem is just going to say, well, maybe Noah thinks that it'll be just for his generation and then it's going to end. No, he needs a reassurance that it's going to continue that way, and that he doesn't have to teach his children to realize that the rules might revert. So the word Yihiyah with the tipcha is closing off the phrase. This is the way it's going to be. So it's not Lachem Yihiyah. It's not going to be for you. It's Lachem, for you. New phrase. This is the way it's going to be for everybody from here on in. So Yihiyah gets to stand all by itself. It's not so closely related to Lachem, other than saying that whatever would stand for you is what's going to be Yihiyah. It's going to be the state of being from here on in. So again, you get the idea of this drush telling us that each word stands on its own and is telling something distinct from the previous word, which is not the way we would normally take it if we were taking a merchat tipcha and saying they join together. Leochla, for eating, you shall be so with the etnachta. So this is going to be a stabilizing influence and possibly something that's directing us upwards or to something more elevated. You shall be permitted to use their body directly for eating, or certain parts of their body structures, horns, bones, hide, for your conveniences. Even their manure or their strength you may exploit to produce food, as suggested by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So again, everything that comes from them is going to be an elevating and stabilizing influence for you. So you're going to use these resources and it's going to make your existence better. Kiyerek, like green, with a zakeh katan, with a munach. So this is going to separate itself out from what has come before and is going to lead to something that's going to continue afterwards. The animals shall broaden the resources of your nutrition and be used like green grass or leaves, which were originally provided for sustenance, as expressed by the shape of the reading mark. So originally, people were vegetarians. And from here on in, the resources that the animals can provide, i.e. their meat and the other things that come from them, now belong to you. So they are going to be treated like greens, something that you had access to before, but from here on in, you're going to use them for all your needs. Esav, of a vegetable. Again, Esav is usually interpreted as grass, not vegetable, but we, I think, are implying that meaning because of Kiyerek, which is a little problematic given that the Perush wants to separate out word from word. Nonetheless, you might have to take the definition of words in context, whereas the notes are giving separate meaning. So just to realize that that's what happened here. Animal meat could be mixed with leaf of a vegetable, or they could be supplemented by one another, as specified by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So, because we're saying of a vegetable, you can use the vegetable by itself, or you can add it to the thing that you have now access to, the meat. So you can have them singularly or both together. You can eat what you ate before, or you can eat the meat as well. So you've gone from a herbivore to an omnivore.
Salad in there?
Well, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, since meat is only pre-processed salad, right?
Yeah.
So we're good.
I think he may be translating the Esav as vegetable, as he would in Breshit, because in Breshit, in Pasuk, I think this is number 11 in chapter in Aleph, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Vayomer Elokim Tacheh Ha'eretz Desha Esav Mazriya
So agreed. He's interpreted Esav there as vegetable as well.
And that Desha was grass, and that Esav is, as you say, vegetation. So
I'll have to think on derivation of how he gets to that, but we will take that under advisement that he's used that interpretation before for the word Esav, so he's being consistent. Natati, I gave, mercha. So mercha is loosely connected to what's gone on before, but mostly sweeping us forward into what's going to come afterwards. So he's given you all of these resources. In spite of the apparent shortage of food supplies, I gave to you varieties to enrich your foods, as illustrated by the directional shape of the reading mark. So what you had from before, what's left from the food that you stockpiled in the ark, is minimal or nothing, but now I've given you a whole bunch of other things to draw upon. Even though the earth looks barren, you now have a whole new set of things to draw upon, so therefore you can go from here on with abundance. Lachem, for you all. Tipcha, this is going to close the phrase of natati and have a short pause after it. Not only will you be efficiently secured with nourishment, but also a selection from various foods will be available for you all according to your tastes and requirements, as conveyed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So it's going to be something that will not only be sufficient, but will be something to meet the needs of all the people who have come out of the ark, even if they have varying or different needs. Et kol, with most, with the stabilizing sof pasuk. Due to your ingenuity and imagination, you will be able to prepare meals with unlimited diversity and in accordance with any occasion, with most refined ideas of appearance, taste, and imagination. So the question is, where is this interpretation coming from? Certainly what we're saying is everything before has now paused, so you've got et kol. The word kol appears with the forefathers. So we have in the benching, we say bakol mikol kol. One is Abraham, one is Yitzchak, one is Yaakov. Hashem berachet Abraham bakol. He blessed Abraham with everything. Yitzchak is mikol, from everything. And when Yaakov confronts Esav, Esav says, Yesh li Rav, I'm not going to accept your gift. I've got a lot of stuff. I don't need your gift. And Yaakov answers him, Yesh li kol, I've got everything. I'm satisfied with what I've got. So the word kol has this implication of satisfaction and being enough to meet all needs and all pleasures. So the Yotzei HaTeva, the people who came out of the ark, have et kol. They have the ability to take these things and create diversity to meet all needs with it. They haven't accepted it upon themselves necessarily as Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov have, but they have the potential for it, and we see that the Avot meet this potential later on by their word, by the use of the same word, kol. So very important that we're really not allowed to make Zera Shavas by ourselves. Nonetheless, so there is a concept of, there are a variety of ways of deriving things in Torah to say, is this really what the sentence is trying to tell us? And sometimes when you see the same phraseology or the same type of a word used in two situations, you can infer that something that was there from one instance is there for the other instance, because they both use the same type of wording.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, something that happened in the one must be the thing that's happening in the other.
Right, that's how they get their build their arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
When
this
we
is
were doing-
so there.
When I was doing the Gemara study with you.
Right.
That's where
So
you
every
derived your
day,
arguments.
it's something that is told to us in Gemara that there are some of these you need a history of that having been used before.
Right.
You can't create that by yourself.
Right.
And some of them are types of logical inference that you're allowed to do. So in Shachrit every morning there's this sentence, there's this paragraph that we say, it's a quote from Rabbi Yishmael, and he tells us there are 13 specific logical types of derivations that we can derive things in the Torah from, and maybe at some other point separate from this class we can go over that. The Art Scroll actually has a fairly good explanation with examples of each of the types of derivation in a place that it's used, so that might be a starting point for anybody who's interested in delving into that. Nonetheless, the paragraph that we've got here for et kol with most is talking about something that seems to resonate with the idea of the way that kol is used later on when it refers to the Avot, when it refers to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And we have a remark: this sentence also represents answers to certain of Noah's questions, like those concerning the monotony of food, raw materials, adequate working power, and so on. So again, we see that the sentences that we're having are continually used throughout the flood and throughout the post-flood experience as answers by God to Noah's fears or trepidations about how he's going to manage. And again, I think this is unique to this parish. I don't think this is something that really appears in anybody else's text. So we'll read the sentence with its notes, and I want you to notice that there is a pause after Asaph. So after, like green of a vegetable, that's going to sort of stand by itself, but then natati lachem is going to again stand by itself. So I've given you all of these things, and it's not going to only be for you, it's going to be for you and for eternity and forever, and you got everything. So each of those parts of the sentence is sort of going to stand by itself by the ways that the notes phrase it. Kol remes asher hu chai lachem yiyeh leochla ki yerek esev natati lachem et kol. We're going to continue on. 9.4, we're on page 73. Ach basar with a zakef gadol. This is a little hard to see in the text here. Zakef gadol is a 3-part note. Looks like that. So it is a note that is going to obviously have multiple meanings to it, and it is going to emphasize the word and make you stop and consider the word by itself. Ach basar with a zakef gadol. Although flesh of an animal had been permitted for consumption, only meat of a properly killed one was understood to be allowed, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So we've got the idea of meat, but meat is separated out into kosher meat and not kosher meat. Things that were properly taken from the animal with consideration for the animal's life, and things that were not. So you're allowed meat, straight line. Kosher meat, not kosher meat. There's a proper way to take it, and there's an improper way to take it. So we've got the idea of, yes, you're allowed meat, but there's good meat and there's bad meat. You've got to choose the right one. So that's how we get this note that tells us that, yes, meat, good, not bad. You understand? That is a concept, and then separating out the rules for the concept.
Yeah, differentiating.
Cool.
Binafsho with a mercha, so this is going to likely be connected to achbasar, to the phrase before, but is going to mostly sweep into what's going to go on after it. But, oh, sorry, we've got, well,
Yeah.
let's read the comment, I'm sorry. Okay, ach, only, rak, except. So, both expressions indicate limitation, as our rabbis call achin v'rakin me'utin. So, wherever you see the word ach or the word rak, it is limiting something. It is telling you that there is something that's allowed and something that's not allowed, or something that's included and something that's not included. Although numerically they are both equal, ach, aleph, and kaf is 21, rak is 300.
Feminin katan.
Feminin katan.
Right?
So let's do this one. Ach, aleph and kaf, 1 plus 20 is 21. And if you take 2 plus 1, you get 3. Rak is 200 and 100. 300. 3 plus 0 is 3. So, this is a type of gematria that tells us that ach and rak are the same number, even though one is 21 and the other is 300. In gematria, you're allowed to do that. They're both the same number. They're both 3s. Okay? So, we should realize that that's what happened here. Ach is of a lower degree. Why? Ach is the 21, so that's the one that's of the lower degree and pertains to a part or section, while rak outlines a total unit. Rak lo yarbe lo susim, the king shouldn't have too many horses, is part of the king's total armament, except he shall not accumulate power or horses. However, ach basar only means only meat as part of other meat, i.e., meat, the part that's derived, that's kosher, that you're allowed to eat, versus the meat that's not. So one is part of something greater, and rak, and one is part of something smaller, the meat of one animal. Yes? No?
Are they
Maybe?
established yet here, though? What's considered the kosher parts and not the kosher parts?
So, Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach says, say, Ever Min Achai. So there is a restriction on Noach's generation to have a realization that something that's taken with cruelty to the animal is something that is forbidden to you.
Okay.
So specifically to take a part or a limb of an animal while the animal is still alive, without properly putting the animal out of its misery, is something that you should not partake in. So no, there's not the concept of kosher and not kosher, although certainly we have the concept of tameh and tahor. We don't know what that means to Noah, but certainly he had more of the animals who were fit for sacrifice and less of the other animals. So he had to have some of that concept as well. Nonetheless, I think this is more referring to Ever Min Achai, to taking part of a limb from an animal that's still alive, and that is certainly something that you have to separate yourself out from. Now, binafsho, by its soul, number 2, with the mercha, which is going to likely tie it to what's gone before, but lead us into what's going to go after, number 2. However, any kind of mutilated meat of a living animal which is requested by its soul for totality of function shall be prohibited, as shown by the directional shape of the reading mark. So even though you're allowed meat, you have to consider the soul, the suffering of the animal, damo, its blood, with a tipcha. So this is going to lead us back to what happened before and pause slightly afterwards, because its blood contains all provision for the dismembered part to be complete unit of creation, as stressed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. Later on, we're going to find with the laws of kosher that you shouldn't eat blood. Why? Because ki nefesh kol basar, the soul of every animal, damo benafshohu. Its soul is found inside its blood. So what we're deriving here is what he's saying in this paragraph, that the blood contains the provisions to complete the whole. And this is sort of, I think, our reference to DNA, the idea that there is a part that can grow into the whole. And this completes the phrase of binafsho, so it's tied to dam, is tied to nefesh, as it will be again later, and it stops there. There's a pause after that. So the two complete each other. And we have a note, binafsho damo, by its soul, its blood. Even bloodless killing, hunting, choking, poisoning by gas, etc., of dead animals due to etc., or dead animals due to zootemics shall be forbidden. Any thoughts on zootemics?
Is that animal epidemics?
In its vitality, it contains its blood. So I think maybe we're going to pause and we're going to actually look up this word, or we can stay and continue talking while we look up this word. So the idea is that it's not only the concept of the blood leaking out, it's the concept of the blood losing its ability to function as blood that we're talking about. So any other way of killing the animal, even if it doesn't spill the blood, there are certainly other concepts that will still render something not fit for consumption. And we have part B of the note, by its soul, binafsho, a proper flow of blood is still being provided for the missing part, damo. Otherwise, it would say, ach basar minafsho lo tochel. So it's not saying that you shouldn't eat any of, so for Bnei Noach, it's not saying they shouldn't have anything with any blood in it. It's that the totality of the blood, or the function of the blood, shouldn't be taken away without considering the animal itself. Remark, also milk was considered at that time as part of the animal while it was still alive, but at Sinai milk was officially withdrawn from that rule. Abraham used milk before receiving the Torah. So Abraham, he gave them both milk and then he gave them meat. So this is still considered a part of the animal, and the question is whether you're allowed to take it or not. A difference was established between milk and blood. Milk is given voluntarily, it causes no pain or harm to the animal, and it does not interfere with the soul or function of the animal, and therefore you have the right to take it, whereas the blood is something different. However, voluntary mutilation of a living body shall not be done to cause pain and discomfort. We're reading number 4.
Yes.
So did we find an answer to zootemics?
Unfortunately, not quite yet.
Okay.
Perhaps it may have been a word that we're trying to get to but didn't quite get at.
Okay, so we'll continue on. We'll finish the sentence. Lo with the mercha. So remember, because we got dama with a tipcha, that's separated itself out from this new phrase. It is going to be lightly tied to what came before, but continue on. Not. However, voluntary mutilation of a living body shall not be done to cause pain and discomfort for the sake of the pleasure to eat meat, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So this is going to lead us forward into what's going to go afterwards. The restriction of causing pain or suffering to the animal is going to be primary in your ability to access that animal for eating. Tochelu, you shall eat, with a sof pasuk. If you do it, and you shall eat this kind of meat, you will have offended the original source of life, with a capitalized source of life, i.e. God, where the completeness of the body was established and is requested. So if you do the thing that you are forbidden from, then you should know that you have caused offense by doing that.